Okay, so let's say we're listening and we realize, okay, not labeling, but containing that this is information to help make us wise, that we suspect we're in a relationship with a narcissist. And now what do we do?
Well, a great book again, bestseller, Good Boundaries and Goodbyes. A boundary without a consequence, we've said it many times, is a mere suggestion. A boundary is not you coming in with a ball bat or going, I'm boundarying you, but to begin to first see things where they are, contemplate less on the narcissistic person, but on you, and to say, have I been a supply? What's been my, very gently here, what's my payoff? And there's been a lot of rewards being in a relationship with a narcissist, whatever that
Give me
might
some
be.
examples of being the supply.
Having to praise the person is there, and the supply would be, you see something, that's not cool, what's going on, or it's even wrong, or it's hurtful, but you don't say anything. You're constantly, they will demand, I want this. It could mean I want sex. I'll do whatever I want with my money, our money. So that idea is, I'm there to feed them constantly so that they know. If I keep them full, a lot of people, if you're full, my dog, if it's full, doesn't want to necessarily just keep eating. So I'm constantly there and basically letting the narcissist have his or her own way, female narcissism too, and they're there to kind of get by and do whatever they want. There is no, in that with the person who's in the experientially, if you're in the supply, the empath there, you don't have a me. Now you do theologically, of course you have a me, but you'll lose it. Everything is about that other person, but that other person who is narcissistic will give you benefits.
I think it's a displaced me. I think that
that's what. Yeah, no doubt.
It's not that you lose the me; it's that you actually now find your me in as a conduit through that other person. Yep. And I think a lot of times what happens, like with the concept of humility, there's this false humility in it, where you're like, oh, I'm just serving. Oh, I'm just being kind.
That's rationalization.
You're rationalizing. Yep. And when I was researching on humility, one of the things that I found was the most devastating types of humility is the fruit of the Spirit turned inward. And I call it this hidden pride, where it's, think about the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, right? When it becomes inverted, the goal of the fruit of the Spirit is always the edification of God's people and the glorification of God. So it's always aimed outward. Sure. But when you leverage the fruit of the Spirit inward, it actually becomes about your self-glorification and your self-edification. And in this context with the narcissistic kind of relationship, which you'll find out is you are actually getting your own gratification by being the source of fuel for the other person. So you're giving them all the love, joy, the peace, the patience, the kindness, and there is some sort of payoff that is in that relationship.
The rationalization, too, to tie into that, wonderfully put by you, is, I call it, well, at least that, and then fill in the blank. Well, at least he has been faithful, as far as you know. At least he provides a good living. Or at least he actually goes to church or does this. Or at least he coaches the kids soccer. And I would argue, and at least he's fairly predictable. And sorry, we're saying he, it could be she too. At least he's this. So that rationalization in the supply, in that empath is, and after a while, it's like, you know what? The devil I know is better than the devil I don't know. That's a smart rationalization at one level until it becomes destructive.
So the number one suggestion, if you suspect that you're in a relationship with a narcissist, and some of the telltale signs of that is you always have to think about what this other person needs. You have to anticipate it to the point where you're sacrificing what you need.
Walking on eggshells maybe too. Be careful, be careful. That's just, man, that's a lot of cortisol in the body, just walking around like that.
Right. And so to start to draw boundaries, though, boundaries always need a consequence. They also will have a cost.
No doubt.
And so the narcissist, probably we've never met a true narcissist that likes a boundary, ever.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so what do we do? Do we just wake up one day and go, okay, I am no longer willing to blank, or what? How do we even start that process?
Well, I've got a thought when we've talked about from Scott Peck that mental health and spiritual health is a commitment to reality. I still hear it all day long. People hear this. It's a commitment to reality. I didn't hear that last part. I mean, people will leave it off quoting it. At all cost is the most important part. It is not a commitment to reality. So what will it cost me? I like how you said I wake up and I may say, first, I've got to name it without pointing a long, bony finger of judgment at he's just a narcissist. I begin to say, I kind of think that these signs, and there's a lot more you could always Google and read on the internet or books that are out there. I think this could be going on. I'd pray and say, Father, is this something that could be going on? And search my heart. And could I be an empath and a supply? Very gentle with yourself. And once you begin to have a dawning and awareness, like, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Still there, I think, like Mary pondered these things in her heart. Don't just jump and get into accusing or talking. Be wise. And then I would contemplate, what boundaries do I need to start with, and begin to go in. And if someone's treating me wrong, or sometimes a simple boundary is no, or, my language, I'll say, no, thank you for asking, and I don't have that to give, or that doesn't work for me.
And I think rather than labeling like, okay, he's a narcissist, or okay, she's a narcissist,
Yeah.
I think the more helpful thing is, let me list out what I'm experiencing. And then, like our wise friend Leslie says, Leslie Bernick, amazing. Here's my problem with their problem. Here's my problem with his problem. So these are the things that I'm experiencing. And I cannot force him to change. I cannot force a fix to his behaviors. But I do need to recognize how it's impacting me. And then here is my problem with their problem. And you then have agency to start addressing your problems.